Good evening and welcome to Seaside Chats with the Salve Admit Guy. I'm the Salve Admit Guy, Jim Fowler, Vice President for Enrollment Management at Salve Regina University in amazing Newport, Rhode Island, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. You can see my virtual backdrop sitting on the back deck of Ochre Court, our signature mansion on campus, though I'm actually coming to you from my virtual office in South Kingstown, Rhode Island. Tonight, we're going to be talking with Dr. James Mitchell, who is the program director for the Department of Modern Languages at Salve, and looking forward to having a conversation about the many offerings that we have for students that are interested in studying a language or studying different international cultures. Dr. Mitchell, welcome to the program. How are you this evening?
Fine, thanks. Thanks for having me, Jim. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Just to get us started, kind of introduce yourself a little bit to those that are watching this. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you found your way to Salve, and maybe if you have any research focus in specific that you do, tell us a little bit about that as well.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I've been at Salve actually now this is my 15th year. I got interested in languages very early in life. In junior high, I started studying French, and I majored in French in college as well as biochemistry. And then I was interested in other languages as well. When I was 15, I actually lived in Portugal with a host family for a summer, and my grandparents spoke Italian, and so was very interested in languages, and so I pursued that. I thought I was going to study Romance linguistics in graduate school, but instead discovered the field of second language acquisition, which studies how people learn languages that are not their first language. And so that was my research focus for at the beginning of my career. And more recently, I've been looking at popular representations of second language speakers and second language use. And my book, Watching in Tongues, was published earlier this year, and it looks at those types of representations on television. I came to Salve actually from Kenyon College, where I was teaching for a couple of years. And before that, I taught at Florida State. And I was very excited to come to a school that had such a strong mission. And it's in a beautiful place as well, so you can't deny that. But it's a wonderful place to be.
Now, you mentioned second language acquisition. I think that's a really intriguing area of study, particularly since at least people like me, I'm not one of those people that second languages come to very easily. It took a lot of struggle for me to get through French in high school. I'm sure that we could not carry on a conversation. What did you learn about? What have you learned about second language acquisition that might be interesting for people to know?
Well, certainly the younger you start, the better. Living in a place where the language is the primary language of communication can be very helpful. Unfortunately, there are lots of different variables that affect how people learn second languages. And so some people are very good classroom learners. Other people are very good naturalistic learners, just being in the place and having interactions. So I think I've learned that there's not always one straightforward path, one piece of advice you can give to everyone that'll work, except perhaps start early. That's about the only thing.
I imagine having that background must give you a leg up pedagogically in terms of your ability to translate that knowledge into how you operate your classroom.
Yes, try to do the things that make sense. Try to create activities and pair and group work where students are actually interacting and what's called negotiating meaning. So speaking to each other, solving problems, trying to share information when they don't know what the answer is. So those are great techniques as well. And then trying to use the target language as much as possible in a comprehensible way so that students can start to piece together their own system, their own developing system in that target language.
And you are the program coordinator for the Department of Modern Languages at the university. So that incorporates a number of different linguistic areas. Which languages are offered as majors at Salve?
We offer French and Spanish as majors, and then we also offer French and Spanish as minors, as well as Italian studies is a minor. And then we have a very special minor in Spanish called a minor in Spanish for health for health and service professions. It's a mouthful, sorry. And that minor is designed for students in nursing, social work, business, where they can, where we've really tried to design it so they can fit that into all of their other requirements for those majors. It requires study abroad in the Dominican Republic. We have a program there. So it's exciting. It's an exciting program.
If a student wanted to study a language area other than French or Spanish, does the university offer outlets for them to do so, either through cooperative arrangements or anything like that?
There are a couple of things. So at Salve, we offer Arabic, Portuguese, and German at the elementary level on a fairly regular basis. And then beyond that, by studying abroad in other places, you can certainly have access to language courses. So, for instance, I think students have been abroad in Thailand and have studied Thai, have been abroad in Japan and studied Japanese. Of course, you're not going to get the same level of proficiency because you won't have as much exposure to the language, but at least you can get the basics and have that experience.
I imagine a number of students that are pursuing language studies also tend to opt for a double major, or especially the students that are looking at minors. Obviously, they have a major in another area. There's certain double major combinations that are most popular amongst language students.
We do tend to get majors in global studies fairly frequently. We actually have a fair amount of business majors, or we have over the years. We've had a lot of students in nursing who aren't necessarily able to major in French or Spanish, but who have minored successfully. I think we have actually managed to work with some students to get them through the major as well, but that's more challenging. We have students in areas like social work. Right now, one of our majors is a double major in French and social work. We have students working in majoring in administration of justice as well. So there are majors from across the university. When students are interested in a language and see the value in a language, regardless of their major, I think they manage to find their way to us.
Mm-hmm. For students that are looking at Salve and looking at programs at other colleges and universities, is there anything particularly notable about our programs that maybe sets them apart from the experience they might get elsewhere?
Well, I think our department is fairly small but dynamic. There are 6 of us. There are 3 in Spanish, 3 in French, and then 2 of us also do Italian. So we get to know our students fairly well. We have really small class sizes at the upper level, and even at some of our more intermediate levels, we have some small class sizes. So we get to know our students fairly well. We're able to advise them and help them try and make those connections with careers in other directions and other majors. I think one of the other things is we have a language house on campus with 2 Fulbright foreign language teaching assistants, and so they teach one course for us while also taking courses at Salve, and generally we have one from a French-speaking country and one from a Spanish-speaking country each year. So they have other opportunities like language tables and movie nights and cultural events. So I think there's a lot going on. We have a French film festival every year in the spring. So for a smaller department, I think we have a lot of events and a lot of activities that are happening.
It sounds like having those types of offerings must attract a particularly inquisitive type of student that is really looking forward to the opportunity to really immerse themselves in a language. What's the teaching experience like for you in the classroom, and what do you enjoy most about teaching Salve students?
Well, I like that Salve students seem interested in what they're learning. They're interested in making connections between different areas. Like you said, we have a lot of students who double major or do a major and a minor, and I think they're always making those connections between what they're learning in their language courses and what they're learning in their major, their other major or other area. Salve students, I think what's really neat about them is they're very they want to change the world. I mean, they really see that Salve is a place where they can develop tools to help them do that, to make the world a better place. I mean, I think they believe in the mission, and they try and act it. They want to bring it forward into the world.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely what I've observed in my time at Salve, as well as that strong commitment that students have to really not just living the mission statement, but really in enacting it into, making a true change agent for betterment. I think about some of the students I hear about that had experiences through the university that maybe changed their trajectory in terms of their majors, and went on and did things like starting Flying Kites, which is a group of orphanages in
Yes.
Africa based on a study abroad experience. It's the dynamism of our student body inspires me every day, and so I'm glad that you get to see that on a daily basis in your classroom.
Yeah, I think that that a lot of our students are engaged in in community outreach and activities, and that happens on study abroad too, like you said. So they learn a lot from those experiences.
I imagine that if a student is majoring in languages, that they're strongly encouraged to do a study abroad experience.
In fact, study abroad is required for our French and Spanish majors, and also for our minors in the minor in the Spanish for the health and service professions, and our minor in Italian studies also require a study abroad experience. That can be for the Spanish minor. That's a study abroad experience in the Dominican Republic over a summer for 8 weeks with a homestay, and then in Italian you can either go abroad for a semester or for a summer.
Yeah, I was talking with Dr. Cherubini last night when we were discussing the nursing program, and she brought up that experience in the Dominican, and was saying that for a lot of students, that becomes a really key experience that helps them in their career long term, because they get sort of that initial exposure, not just to the language in general, but also the application of the medical terminology within that language. So if they find themselves in a healthcare setting, in a where there might be a high propensity of Spanish speaking population, or a lot of immigrant populations, that they feel like they're much better prepared and capable to make that adjustment than, say, having to go in and rely on translators or some form of translation service.
Well, we chose the Dominican Republic specifically because this area in of the Northeast, in Rhode Island, Providence, and the surroundings, have the largest concentration of Spanish-speaking peoples from the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, and so that was a deliberate choice so that students get to know not only the language but also the culture, so they feel interculturally prepared as well.
You mentioned the language house. What are some of the other opportunities for enrichment for students on campus? Clubs, activities, other activities they might engage in?
Well, I think we have a fairly active Spanish club, and they do events once a month, dance nights, learn how to salsa, for instance, cook different foods, those sorts of things. There's the Model UN. I know that we've had a French club in the past, and we've been trying to get that up and running again, and so that's something that's on the docket as well. Um, I do think the multicultural student organization is another place where there's overlap in terms of interests and experiences. So those are other areas where students naturally gravitate toward.
Yeah, those multicultural education weeks in the fall and the spring are really highlights in the campus calendar, particularly for those of us that like food, but also in terms of performances and other enrichment opportunities. I'm really always amazed at the level of programming that is enacted, oftentimes planned by the students themselves.
That's very true. That's very true. It's a great opportunity. I think it also coincides with what's our study abroad fair is coming up too. So every year we have a study abroad fair that students can attend to learn about different destinations that Salve offers or has partnerships with, and also other destinations where students can go through affiliate organizations. I know, for instance, we have our study abroad exchange partnership with the Catholic University of Lyon in France, and our students go there and study, and their students come here and study. And so there's the opportunity for those groups of students to see each other on two different campuses and really get to know each other and build those relationships.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that at Salve we don't limit students to just Salve specific study abroad programs, that we have all of these partnerships that allow students pretty much to go any place in the world and to do programs that are either English speaking or to do a fully immersive educational experience that where they'll be really tested. And as you mentioned before, that's probably the best way to really master a language, is to just throw yourself right into it.
Yeah, I think it's great that we don't limit the students, and students who want to study a language that we don't offer at Salve or have roots in another part of the world and want to take advantage of that can go study at university somewhere else in the world that we don't necessarily, a language that we don't teach, and they can get to learn about a country and a culture that they might have some connection to.
I think sometimes when people look at majors in languages at the college level, sometimes they fall under this misapprehension that majoring in language means you're just going to go be a language teacher. But in actuality, majoring in a language, majoring in modern languages, majoring in foreign cultures opens doors to a wide range of career opportunities and postgraduate education opportunities. Can you share some of the really more interesting opportunities that Salve graduates from languages have pursued?
Well, certainly some students have gone on to become language teachers, but others have gone on to grad school in various fields, from higher ed administration. Some have pursued law, some have pursued medicine. Because we have a lot of students that are doing double majors, those students will go on to do nursing, for instance, or social work or fields like that. Some students work in non-governmental organizations. Some students have found themselves working with the UN. Some students have found themselves working in nonprofits. Other students have gone on to successful careers in business, in the business world. I just saw actually on LinkedIn, one of our former students popped up who works, I think, for one of the business card or producers. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's just interesting to see that he's had this very flourishing career in the business world, and he was one of our. He was a French minor, I believe. So I think what you learn in terms of communication can be applied to a lot of different areas and a lot of different fields, and so. Like you said, it's an opportunity to open doors. A lot of our students have gone back to live abroad or just to spend a year. There are opportunities to teach English abroad for a year through the French and Spanish government, for instance. And so students do that and then come back to the US and find other career paths. I know, for instance, our own Hannah Cazetta, our first year advisor, is one of our former graduates who went on to graduate school. But before that, she spent a year living in France teaching English, and then she did a Fulbright in Colombia. And so, but she managed to find her way back to Salve, doing God's work, helping our students find their way.
So yeah, I imagined also, if someone was interested in tech, I hear a lot that a lot of the technology companies are hiring language graduates because they have a natural inclination for nonlinear thought and can therefore transition really well to do programming languages or other types of design in the technical space.
That's interesting to hear. I had not heard that, but that's fantastic news.
Is there anything else that you think that people watching should really know about Salve's program in modern languages that they should consider if they're deciding whether or not to apply?
Well, I think we also offer courses in linguistics as well. So there are some courses in linguistics, intro to linguistics, a course in sociolinguistics, a course in intercultural communication, as well as a course focused on second language acquisition. So those courses exist as well. I think that the biggest thing is that once you get to know us, I think you realize that there's a lot that we have to offer, not just in terms of teaching language and culture, but also as people in our own interests. And we share that with our students. Like I said, we get very close to our students and we get to know them well, and we're here to support them all the way through and even afterwards.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. Mitchell, thank you so much for taking time out on in busy point in the semester. I know everybody's really going 100 miles an hour in terms of teaching and student activities. So really appreciate you taking the time and talking about the Modern Languages program. For folks that are viewing this recording, I certainly encourage you to apply soon to Salve. You can go to www.salve.edu/apply to find links to the common application to submit your application to the university. November 1st is the early action and early decision deadline. So if you're watching this in October, you'll want to get in your application as soon as possible to meet that deadline so we can get you a decision and probably a financial aid package as well by the holidays. Be watching your email for additional links for additional programs we're doing through Seaside Chats. We'll be doing a number of different academic programs throughout the course of the fall, as well as looking at some of the other activities and unique offerings that Salve can provide. So again, Dr. Mitchell, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the people. I hope you'll consider Salve.
And hopefully we'll talk to you on campus sometime in the near future. Have a great day.
Looking forward to it. All right. Thanks. Take care.